Think Bitcoin mining is easy money? Think again. In 2025, the game has changed. Profits, risks, and hidden costs. What's really going on behind the screens? Flashing coins, whirring machines, and the race for digital gold. Ready to find out if you can still strike gold with Bitcoin mining? Let's dive in. Alright, let's smash into it. When you hear the term Bitcoin mining, you might picture someone in a hard hat with a digital pickaxe, chipping away at a computer screen. In reality, it's a bit different, but the goal is the same: to find something valuable. Bitcoin mining is essentially the backbone of the entire Bitcoin network. It's the process by which new Bitcoins are created and, just as importantly, how all the transactions are verified and added to a public ledger called the blockchain. Think of miners as the diligent bookkeepers of Bitcoin, working around the clock to keep the system honest and secure. So, why would anyone dedicate a massive amount of computing power to this task? The answer is simple: for the reward. Miners are incentivized with two things. First, they receive brand new Bitcoins for successfully finding a new block to add to the chain. Second, they collect the transaction fees that people pay when they send Bitcoin from one wallet to another. This dual reward system is what motivates people globally to plug in their machines, pay their electricity bills, and contribute to the network's operation. It's a decentralized system, meaning no single bank or government controls it. Instead, it's run by this vast, distributed network of miners. Now, how does this mining actually work in simple terms? Imagine the entire Bitcoin network is competing to solve a ridiculously complex mathematical puzzle. Every 10 minutes or so, a new puzzle is released. Miners around the world use powerful, specialized computers to guess the answer. It's a brute force guessing game on a cosmic scale, where machines are making trillions of guesses every single second. The first miner whose computer finds the correct answer gets to add the latest batch of transactions, the next block, to the blockchain, and claims the reward. This process is called proof of work. It's designed to be difficult and resource-intensive on purpose. This difficulty ensures that no single person can easily take over the network and manipulate the transaction ledger for their own gain. The sheer amount of computational power required makes the network secure. If someone wanted to cheat, they would need to control more than half of the entire network's computing power, an astronomically expensive and nearly impossible feat. So, in essence, miners are not just earning money, they are actively securing the integrity of the Bitcoin network for everyone. Back in the early days, around 2009, Bitcoin mining was a hobbyist's game. You could genuinely mine a decent number of Bitcoins using the central processing unit of your everyday home computer. Imagine just leaving your desktop running overnight and waking up to a handful of newly minted Bitcoins. It was a completely different world. The puzzles were far less complex because the network was tiny. Early adopters could accumulate thousands of coins with minimal effort and expense, a reality that seems almost unbelievable from our vantage point in 2025. The barrier to entry was practically non-existent. As Bitcoin's value started to climb, people realized there was serious money to be made, and the race was on. The CPU era quickly gave way to using more powerful graphics processing units, or GPUs. Gamers and tech enthusiasts found that their high-end graphics cards were much more efficient at the repetitive calculations required for mining. This marked the first major shift, turning mining from a casual hobby into a more serious, semi-professional endeavor. Small-scale farms of multiple GPUs wired together started popping up in basements and garages, dramatically increasing the network's overall difficulty and pushing out the casual CPU miners. The GPU era, however, was also short-lived. The next great leap came with the invention of application-specific integrated circuit miners, or ASICs. These are machines designed for one purpose and one purpose only: to mine Bitcoin at blistering speeds. An ASIC is thousands of times more powerful and efficient than even the best GPU for this specific task. Their arrival completely professionalized the industry. Suddenly, if you weren't using an ASIC, you simply couldn't compete. This shift priced out most individuals and led to the rise of massive industrial-scale mining operations. Today, in 2025, the landscape is dominated by these huge mining farms. We're talking about warehouses the size of football pitches, located in regions with the cheapest electricity on the planet, filled with tens of thousands of state-of-the-art ASIC miners. These operations are run by publicly traded companies with immense capital. The solo miner from 2010 has been replaced by a global multi-billion-dollar industry. The competition is fiercer than ever, and the difficulty of the puzzles constantly adjusts upwards to reflect the colossal amount of computing power now aimed at the network. So, you're looking at the scene in 2025 and thinking, can I get a piece of that? Let's break down the costs, because they are substantial. The single biggest expense is the hardware itself. A top-of-the-line ASIC miner, like a next-generation Antminer, can set you back anywhere from $4,000 to over £12,000, and you won't get very far with just one. To have any meaningful chance of competing, you'd need several of these machines running 24/7. This initial capital investment is a massive hurdle that stops most aspiring miners right in their tracks. It's a serious business, not a casual side hustle you can start with pocket change. Your second and arguably most critical ongoing cost is electricity. These ASIC machines are incredibly power-hungry. They consume an enormous amount of electricity, and if you're paying typical residential electricity rates, your bill will be astronomical. Profitability is a razor-thin calculation that hinges almost entirely on your cost per kilowatt hour. This is why major mining operations are based in places like Texas or certain parts of Scandinavia, where they have access to extremely cheap, often renewable, energy sources. For a home miner in the UK, electricity costs alone could easily exceed any potential Bitcoin earnings, putting you in the red from day one. Beyond the hardware and power, you also have to consider other factors. These machines generate an incredible amount of heat and noise. It's not something you can just stick in your home office. It sounds like a jet engine and will heat the room to unbearable temperatures. This means you need a dedicated space with proper ventilation and cooling systems, which adds another layer of cost and complexity. Then there's the maintenance. These are sophisticated pieces of electronics running at maximum capacity all the time. They can and do fail, requiring repairs or replacements that eat into your profits. Finally, we need to talk about mining pools, because the chance of a single small-scale miner solving a block on their own is practically zero. Most miners join a mining pool. A pool is a collection of miners who combine their computational power to increase their collective chance of solving a block. When the pool successfully finds a block, the reward is distributed amongst all the members, proportional to the amount of processing power each contributed. While this provides a more stable and predictable stream of income, the pool takes a small fee, slightly reducing your overall returns. It's a necessary trade-off in today's competitive environment. Now for the million-dollar question, or perhaps the 0.001 Bitcoin question, is it still profitable to start mining in 2025? The straightforward answer for the average person is, quite frankly, probably not. The days of firing up a PC in your bedroom and making a fortune are long gone. The industry has matured, and the economics are brutal. You are not just competing with other enthusiasts, you are competing against massive, publicly traded corporations with access to wholesale hardware prices and rock-bottom industrial electricity rates. It's like trying to win a Formula One race with a go-kart. A critical factor you must understand is the halving. Approximately every 4 years, the reward for mining a new block is cut in half. This event is hard-coded into Bitcoin's protocol to control its supply. The most recent halving was in 2024, which slashed the block reward from 6.25 BTC to 3.125 BTC. This means miners now earn 50% less new Bitcoin for the exact same amount of work and expense. While the price of Bitcoin often rises after a halving, it's not guaranteed. This event dramatically squeezes profit margins and can instantly make inefficient mining operations unprofitable. So what are the risks? The primary risk is that you will simply never make your money back. The price of Bitcoin is notoriously volatile. You could spend £20,000 on a setup, only for the price of Bitcoin to crash, wiping out your potential earnings while your electricity bills keep coming. Hardware also becomes obsolete very quickly. The top-of-the-line ASIC you buy today could be hopelessly outmatched by a new model in 18 months, rendering your expensive equipment virtually worthless. There's also regulatory risk, as governments could change their stance on cryptocurrency mining, impacting its viability. For those absolutely determined to try, the only path to potential profitability involves meticulous planning. You must secure an electricity rate that is far below the residential average, ideally under 5 pence per kilowatt hour. You need to source the most efficient ASIC miners available at a reasonable price and have a solid plan for cooling and maintenance. You must do the maths relentlessly, using an online mining profitability calculator to model your exact costs against potential returns and be brutally honest with yourself. But even then, you're making a high-risk bet on the future price of Bitcoin. For the vast majority of people, buying Bitcoin directly is a far simpler, cheaper, and less risky way to get exposure to the asset. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel for more content.